you can live a life in flow where your deepest heart's desires become reality. At Set to Love, we offer strategies and ideas on how you can stay out of crazy town. See, your human experience is meant to be lived with meaning, purpose, and creativity. You are here to contribute through your essence. We are best friends, moms, entrepreneurs, and above all, find our flow in assisting you to find yours. We come together weekday mornings to bring you ideas to fall deeper in love with your life and the journey that you are on. Take what works and ditch the rest, and always stay set to love. Thank you for being a part of this community. We're all designed to live in flow. So let's go. Good morning, Set to Love community. I am Eva Payne here with my best friend, Shelley Garite. And yay! We're so excited. We were not sure if we were going to be able to make this work. You know, sometimes it's by the hair on our chinny chin chin, but we got her. Yay!
It would help if I click the button underneath that says enter the studio.
Oh. I was like, I don't see you. And I went back and looked at the email. I'm like, I sent her the right link. I don't know. What am I doing wrong? Hey, it all worked out.
I'm
Welcome.
So sorry.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm feeling a little bit pink in the cheeks. I've been outside doing some gardening today because it was so beautiful. And I suddenly realised that actually you do need sunscreen no matter what time of year these days, don't you?
Yes, and I'm an esthetician, so get that sunscreen on.
I will. Yes, ma'am, I will. Absolutely, completely. How are you both anyway? Lovely to see you. Doing really good.
Welcome. We're excited that you're here this morning to help our viewers in some way to give them flow in their life. So what are we talking about, Eva?
Well, I am excited because Tosh is an expert on divorce, the D word. And I just want you, would you just introduce yourself to everyone? Tell everyone a little bit about you and what it is that you do, the work that you do and why you do it. And then Shelley and I are experts on divorce. So we'd love to have a conversation around this. So thank you so much for being here.
Pleasure. It's so lovely. I kind of connected with you guys and I just loved your whole buzziness and you were so friendly and so gorgeous. And I was like, I really want to be on that podcast. So thank you for having me on, first of all. So I went through a divorce. We split up in 2012 and my whole world fell apart. We kind of went bankrupt at the same time and everything was just mad. I had to get out of Is there a squeak in the back of my room? Can you hear it at all? No? Okay, fantastic. Right. So, and I kind of found myself one day and my ex said, I don't know if I can pay the rent. And I just sat at my kitchen table one day and I just thought, I'm going to write about this. And I'm just going to do everything with kindness. I'm not going to get angry. I'm not going to get cross. I'm just going to be kind. I'm just going to try it as an experiment. My parents have got divorced. They still have issues 30 years later. And I just thought, I'm just going to do it differently. I've got nothing to lose. So I'm just going to go for it. And
I children? Can I ask you if you have children?
So
how many children and what were their ages?
So my daughter was 9 and my son was 7.
Okay.
And we moved back out. I moved the kids and I back over we lived in the Middle East. And I remember sort of selling up furniture to get back, because if you don't pay your bills, you end up in the slammer there. And I just was like, what am I going to do? And I just thought, I'm going to be nice. So I started writing my blog and I just wrote from the heart. And I just thought, if I'm feeling like this about divorce, then others must be as well. And I didn't look at anybody else's, not there were that many around when I first started writing about divorce blogs, but I just thought, just write it, just be honest, just see what happens. And it got really big and I got on TV about 6 weeks later, national TV, like papers, radio, talking about mediation and compassion and kindness and mindfulness. And it just kind of went on from there. And then I kind of started my podcast, and I've been coaching people to have kinder divorces. So, and people go, yeah, right, that's just not going to happen. But actually, one of my taglines is, your divorce is about you, not your ex. And this is my big thing, because we all know that if somebody's going to be mean to you and unkind to you, they're going to do it anyway. And if you're going through a divorce, you're never going to have any control over them as to whether, you know, how they're going to do it or not do it. I mean, so you just kind of got to change the way you see it and change the way how you let things affect you. And that's my whole thing about divorce.
I love it.
You ultimately have control, and actually we have to believe it. We have to trust ourselves that we can do this and look after ourselves, and to believe it as well. So I might get on my soapbox.
No, okay. my motto for that too, going through the divorce, was I want to have the best of a bad thing, because I don't think divorce is good. But when you don't have a choice, you want the best case scenario. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, because you can't change another person or the way they're thinking. So your mindset and how you flow through your divorce is really great. So I would want to ask you though, Tosh, do you have any like tips for people right at the start? Let's say today somebody just found out they're going through a divorce. What would that advice be for this journey?
Okay, so my top tip is to start looking after yourself. That is the first thing you do, because if you're on sort of fight, flight, or freeze mode, and you start phoning up people or talking to people, and I know you have to talk to friends and share things, and you know, but actually you need to really get good at looking after yourself. And I'll talk about your physical health, your mental health, your emotional well-being. So you either get a coach, you get a therapist, you go exercise, you know, you cut back on, if you're wanting to sink at, you know, drinks and whatever, you're just going to wake up and play catch up the next morning, which is going to make you feel more anxious. So maybe just sort of moderate if you're drinking, you know, alcohol, wine or whatever. Exercise, you know, smack that mental, like the whole divorce mind monkey chatter out by getting out there. Just exercise, go out and be in nature, and just look after yourself, because your body's in, like, you know, it's filled with like stress. So
shock. So my question for you is then, if you're the calm one and the kind one and approaching everything, and the other person is what we call crazy town, that's our version of it. Like, they just, like, that person's just out there acting all sorts of crazy. How do you not go there? How do you stay calm when someone is so angry, so upset, whatever they might be going through? I mean, it's kind of like going through a very sad death when you get divorced. What advice would you have for the calm person? How do you stay in that space and hold space for the crazy?
Okay, so holding space for the crazy does take a bit of practice, and it's like anything in life. If you want something to work out well, you've got to put a bit of time in and a bit of effort. And I know as a single parent, you might be juggling everything. You might be thinking, oh my God, I've got no time for this. But one thing I am really hot on, and that is sitting there and doing some deep breaths, meditation, whatever you want to call it, and start really kind of being with your thoughts, doing some journaling, just get your stuff out, get really good at like mindfulness meditations, because they just focus on your breathing or your body. You're not taken anywhere that you don't want to go, or some la waterfall with sparkly unicorns, although, you know, sometimes it's kind of nice to escape there, especially in divorce days. And I would just kind of get good at just breathing, like just noticing when your mind is wandering off, because that's when we get triggered. When we're kind of in this state of like stress, we get triggered, we're more likely to react. But if we kind of are quite used and practiced at being, you know, just kind of like being able to calm ourselves down by taking a few deep breaths, that's all you need to do, is just like focus on your mind, focus on your breath, up and down, into your belly, back out again, you know, practice that a lot. And you get to this space where when somebody is triggering you, you can just go, actually, do you know what? I'm just going to let this go. And you're almost like I call it emotionally flatlining. And when you don't give anybody your energy, when you don't react, because a lot of people, they come over, they ping you, you go rah, and they walk off triumphant. They've done it. They've won. Why? And it's like, why would you not want to get good at not, at not reacting? I mean,
yes.
It's like that.
It's so, I love it. The first book that I read that I listened to was Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. Because when you're not someone who knows anything about mindfulness or practicing it, even just learning about that space and really understanding the power of breath, it's phenomenal what it does and how transformative it can be. And so it's sometimes people think it's just whatever, breathe, mindfulness stuff, but truly it can really change your life.
Okay, but reality is, if you're in a new divorce, I'm sorry, girls. If somebody told me back then, just breathe, I would say this is not helping. Even though maybe it does help, I think we need to figure out something that we can tell someone what to do. Is it good to just go have a good cry? If you have to deal with them, what do we do? How do we react besides breathing or whatever? And I don't mean that, Tosh, in any way to say that it's not right, because I do believe in the breathing. It does give us calmness. But what do we tell that person when they really do have to come face to face and this person is calling them names or whatever? Like, I think we need to teach people to say, I'm not going to stand for this. I'm going to take a time out. Like, what does that kind of advice look like for you?
Okay, so when I was talking about the breathing, when you get into that kind of space, it gives you that buffer to make a conscious choice whether to react or not. And that's that space. But I get what you're saying. And so if somebody was coming at you, you could either just say to them, listen, can you put it in an email to me? Can you write this down? It's easier for me. You don't have to go, don't do that. You just don't want to poke the bear.
Yes.
That is such a big thing. And if you kind of hold that in your mind, it's like, I just think asking somebody to write it down, and if they're that angry, they're going to get it down on an email anyway to you.
Probably a couple pages long.
I know. And you go, thank you very much for that.
Emails before. I'm like, put it in an email. Scrolling, a novel later. I'm like, and with another day.
And with that, you just then read it and you go, I'm just going to say thank you so much for all your words.
Yes.
And then you win. Tosh.
Exactly.
Because you have the control even too, whether you, Eva's great at this, whether you read the text or not. I've seen her delete. I'm like not in the mood for this. And she would just delete it and be done.
I know what they say. I know what they would all say. It was just some other version of the same exact thing over and over and over and over. So it was like, I just wouldn't even, it wasn't even worth my time anymore at some point. I'm like, it's just going to take time.
Yeah.
You just need to not be so angry.
And you can just be the bigger person. You just like, but you can feel it off emails, you can feel when somebody comes into the room, you can feel it. You can almost like, so that, when you get kind of really aware and you get really like connected to whatever's going on, you can just feel and you're like, okay, so I'm just going to just let this one drop. And every time you do that, it's like an onion layer. It's like they've got it off their chest, going in and fighting and sending a big email back. Oh my God. It's like, what a waste. You could spend all that lovely energy.
Tosh, wait, I want to ask you this. Do you find that this practice, because there's not very many people who really think like you and I and Shelley in this way, but do you find that you use this in other aspects of your life? Like when it comes to with your kids, or when people are talking about politics or something else kind of heated, that you kind of use that same approach? Like, yeah, okay, I'm just not going to get in the ring with that.
It is. It's like a life skill. And I just think that is the bonus. If you come out your divorce and you can do this, right, it's so foundational for the rest of your life. And with your kids, it's like I've got teenagers, my daughter kicks up, and I just kind of like, she doesn't kick up a lot, she's lovely, but you just kind of look at it and you go, okay, don't poke the teenage bear. We're just going to be all cool with this. Or, and it's okay. It's like having a superpower being able to do this.
I agree.
But we all have to learn to do it if we really don't want to stay in that pit. Because what I'd like to say to your viewers is, like, ask yourself, right? Like, we talk about doing this kind of awareness and breathing and all this stuff. And people kind of roll their eyes and go, oh, it doesn't work for me. It doesn't work. I've tried it. It didn't work for me either at the beginning. But I just thought it's got to be better, me trying this, than going round and round in circles and being still stuck in that place of pain. I mean, like, why would you do that to yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And what I didn't want to do is be that person in however many years' time, or, months, or in a relationship, or speaking to people about my divorce, and you just hear it, and you just hear this, blah, and you just kind of, they go, how's your divorce? And of course, there are bad divorces, but actually for somebody to go, do you know what? It wasn't great, but I owned it.
Yep.
How powerful is that?
Very. Now, before we end, it's always, this time has just gone by so fast.
No, it's so good. I would definitely want to have you back, because it's such a
lovely.
But the question that I have for you, Tosh, is what would be your advice when it comes to your kids?
Great
question. Do you have some kind of a tip to get your kids through divorce? And maybe we can do that too, but a little something for people that have kids.
Yeah. So the biggest thing that worked for us was we had one of these little pots on the table, and it was like a turtle with a lid on. One of the kids had made at school, and we called it the worry turtle. And so every day I made it a thing that we sat down, and if anybody had a worry, including me one day, like I worried because I didn't get any sleep, I might be grumpy or something, I put a little piece of paper in the turtle, and obviously the youngest one would go, oh, what's in the turtle? And you go, oh, you've put something in the turtle today. And then we would open it up, and all three of us would give advice to the other one to help them through. So everybody was included. It was like this lovely, like, solid little circle of help. And we were all invited, or just when they felt like it, to put it in there as well. So
that's beautiful. I love that. Eva.
That is the worry turtle. We all need a worry turtle that we can just put our worries in and then share them with one another. We talk a lot about expressing your feelings, and how that's one of the regrets people have at the end of their life, is that they weren't able to really express how they felt. And with a worry turtle, you just create a safe space to express how you feel. So that's such a beautiful tip for everyone. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Pleasure.
Thank you so much, Tasha. I hope you come back and visit us and give us more tips on divorce. This was great.
Thank you so much, both of you. Love talking to you both. Love your energy.
Give us tips on divorce. Like, it's but honestly, it's like we pretend that it's never going to happen to us, and we hope it's never going to happen to us, and you never think it's going to, but then sometimes it does. It's kind of like having twins. You never think you're going to have twins, and then you find out you're pregnant with twins, and your whole life changes. So I'm so grateful for you, for your talents and your gifts, and for sharing them with the world. And where can people connect with you if they want some support in this space, Tosh? Where can they you?
So I love my Instagram account, and that's at Divorce Goddess, and you can find me there, or my website, which is www.divorcegoddess, or I got a podcast called Divorce Goddess podcast.
Okay, Divorce Goddess.
Just Google Divorce Goddess. It all comes up. I can't hide anywhere. All there.
I love it.
Thanks,
okay, wait, I have one last question. I know we're over time. Do you ever feel like you're pinned in a corner now? Like this is your thing? Like you have to talk about divorce for the rest of your life because that's where this started?
I'm so easy with it. I'm so easy because it's just authentic, and I'm not trying to be anybody I wasn't. I just speak about my experience. I speak about my pain, the good stuff, the bad stuff, the ugly stuff. And you know what just makes me so happy is when somebody messages me on Instagram and goes, thank you for that IGTV or that reel or whatever you did. You made the difference to my day. And you just think that's what life's about, isn't it? It's just, helping others through your own experience and having the courage to do it as well, you know, and being honest. And
you are definitely living in your flow, and what a great example to everyone. So thank you so much for that.
Bless you.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for hanging in there today. What a great conversation. You can find us at set2lovepodcast@gmail.com if you have questions for us. Our website, of course, set2love2. We're here weekday mornings, 8:30 a.m. Tosh, thank you so much. Best friend, Tosh. I love you.
Thank you.
Hit the bell, everyone. Hit the bell.
Tosh, hang on. We're going to say bye to you. We're going to play our closing reel. Here we go.